12:04. Roll call, please.
Commissioners Nelson,
Here.
Kokendorfer,
Here.
Jackson,
Here.
Markham.
Here.
Commissioner Miller is absent with notice. Commissioner Powell,
Here.
Angel,
Here.
Hoffman, Loops.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our next item is approval of the minutes from September 23rd. I have a motion by Commissioner Nelson and support from Commissioner Kokendorfer. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. We next need approval of the agenda, and as noted before the meeting began, the agenda was last updated about 11:40 today. Everybody had a chance to look at the additional item that was added under the regular agenda.
Present.
Hi, Commissioner Hoffman.
Hi,
All right.
everybody.
Then I need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Commissioner Nelson, support by Commissioner Markham. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, the motion is carried. We move to public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak?
Currently, you have one caller that just joined. Caller 1, would you like to speak in public comment?
No, I'm good.
Okay, you currently have no other online callers or written submissions.
All right, thank you. Public comment is closed. Under communications, we have 6 items to receive and file. From the Sheriff's Office, the 2021 pedestrian and bike overtime enforcement grant application. From Children's Village, the Child and Adult Care Food Program. Animal Control Disposition Report for August and September is the 3rd item. The board minutes from September for the Retirement and Deferred Compensation Board. The VIVA board minutes from September, and the last item is from Haven, the updated quarterly report regarding Safe Therapeutic Assault Response Team Program from 2019 through 2020. So on these items, is there anyone? Yes, Commissioner Ginzel?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I was just gonna move to receive and file items A through F.
I love it. Okay, who's seconded?
Jackson.
Commissioner Jackson, thank you. All right, so we do a roll call for receive and file. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, communications, it has been approved, motion carried, thank you. On our regular agenda item from our Health and Human Service, from our Health Division, is the 2021 Local Health Department Comprehensive Agreement. So I have a motion by Commissioner Powell, support from Commissioner Nelson. And we have our Health Department Director Leanne Stafford here. Would you like to comment on this?
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that this is our local health department agreement with our Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. We've sometimes called this CPBC, if you've heard that term that we've used. So really, this is the funding we use for the significant portion of our mandated services. And so our budget for 2021 has gone up, but that is because they have included all of the COVID response grants that we have received in as part of this amendment, or this part of this grant. And so this involves, all of the COVID, from contact tracing, investigation, testing. This also includes flu immunization money that we have received this year. And then also regional laboratory support for COVID-19, in addition to our mandated programs, which you are probably familiar with, which is kind of our HIV and AIDS, our hepatitis A, bioterrorism, some of our nursing grants, immunization grants, laboratory services, STD control, nurse family partnership, TB money that we receive, and also some West Nile money that we receive, and also our WIC funding.
Thank you.
Any questions? One more thing too, this does include 64 special revenue positions that we have as part of this grant.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions regarding the agreement? All right, roll call, please.
On item number 1, Commissioners Nelson,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Loops.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 8 yeas and 0 nays.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Motion carried. Our next item is from the Sheriff's Office, Secondary Road Patrol Traffic Accident Prevention Program Grant Acceptance. So I have a motion by Commissioner Hoffman, support from Commissioner Gingell. And who is here?
Mike McCabe and Gaia are here today, Commissioner.
Oh, thank you. There you are.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is our annual Secondary Road Patrol grant from the state of Michigan. Bad news is we've had to eliminate 2 positions because of a reduction in the grant. The biggest reason is COVID-19 resulted in a huge reduction in traffic tickets written statewide. There is a $10 surcharge on certain civil infractions that are written by every police officer in the state of Michigan, that is collected by the courts. And because of COVID-19, tickets were down tremendously. They're starting to go back up. It's very disappointing to us to have to reduce the unit to 1 sergeant and 3 deputies. They have to service the entire county and all the local police departments that request specific traffic enforcement within their community. So we're going to do the best we can, but we're asking you to accept this grant today. And if possible, maybe in the next week or so, if there could be, Madam Chair, a resolution from the board urging the legislature and the governor to give us a supplemental appropriation to at least get us back to where we were last year, so maybe we could restore those 2 positions. I'll tell you, historically, the grant started in 1978, and at that time, it funded in our department, in the sheriff's office, 1 civilian coordinator and 16 sworn personnel. So we had a total of 17 people. We had 16 out on the road, 2 sergeants, 14 deputies, and it's been reduced to a skeleton of what it used to be. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
That is a big reduction in the last 1978. Thank you. Are there any questions? Oh, roll call, please.
On item number 2, Commissioners Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Loops?
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 8 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. The motion carries. And I am happy to support, to develop a resolution to encourage additional funds for that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get with your staff and get that drawn up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our third item is acceptance of the county executive plan to partner with the Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan on a community policing innovation fund for Oakland County communities. So I have a motion from Commissioner Gingell, support from Commissioner Nelson. And is Hillary here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hi, Hillary.
Hi, thanks. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. So very excited to bring this proposal before the committee. This builds on a partnership that we were brought into between the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan and the Hudson Weber Foundation. So they've joined together with other independent funders to establish a community policing innovations fund. This will be a fund available for a 7-county region in Southeast Michigan, and it's pulled together not only kind of leading experts from the state, but also technical advisors and leading experts around the country on community policing initiatives. And it will be providing in that 7-county region the opportunity for cities to apply to be pilot communities through this fund. And it will allow those pilot communities the technical assistance and the training support that they need to continue to make progress along the pathway of community policing. And it might vary depending on where that community is and what their needs are. They might be just at the beginning of the path, exploring community policing with their police force and their residents, or they might be further along and wanting to enhance their current efforts. And so we evaluated this effort that we knew was going to start in the next few months. And what we're proposing to the board is that we supplement this effort with an independent $1 million contribution that would allow additional Oakland County communities to participate right off the bat in terms of this pilot. It would also enable communities that have been awarded pilot grants to also have supplemental support as they would need for training or other support services that they need as they develop action plans and other mechanisms to advance community policing in their communities. This, of course, would be all voluntary competitive applications. Oakland County communities would be eligible for the very first round, the foundational grant that the Community Foundation is running. But what would happen is that this additional fund would allow additional Oakland County communities to participate. Also, because of our commitment and partnership, we would be able to add an additional person, a representative from Oakland County to the overall advisory committee. Currently, Chief Malloy from Novi serves on the advisory committee that's chaired by Barbara McQuaid. There's also other local chiefs of police, but for Oakland County, Chief Malloy, who's really been one of the leaders in this area, is working with the Community Foundation on this initiative. But we would be able to add an additional person representing Oakland County to that advisory committee.
Thank you. So this is monies dedicated to trainings and education for police departments?
Yes, and I would add technical assistance. So, you know, what they're doing is they're convening the best experts from around the country in all of these different areas. and they would match the community with the technical advisor so that the community could develop an action plan in the area that they're exploring. So it's technical advising, it's training, it's capacity building, it's everything that a community might need as they start working towards community policing initiatives.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Commissioner Markham?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So how is oversight done? Is it the advisory committee that's doing oversight? Who's watching where our $1 million goes and how it's being spent?
We would have a contract with the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan. So ultimately, they are the fiduciary, and we would have a contractual relationship with the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan.
Okay.
The oversight committee that I referenced is really the policy piece of it. You know, those are the law enforcement experts that they've convened to help them develop the program. But in terms of the oversight of the funds, I mean, that would be done by the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan. And I'm not quite sure there's a better, more well-respected foundation in the state of Michigan than the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan. So we would have a contractual relationship in terms of the oversight of the money.
Okay, that makes sense.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell, followed by Commissioner Jackson.
So when applying for these funds, is it the municipalities that's applying for them, or would it be the actual police departments within the municipality? And if it is the police department, what about the ones that we govern as far as the contractual with the Oakland County Police Department being the main police department?
Right. Those are good questions. So yes, it would be generally if it was a city and their police department was applying, I mean, the city is still the fiduciary applying, but they would also have to have, because of the nature of the community policing, they would also have to have, you know, memorandums of understanding in terms of the partnerships that they're establishing, in terms of some of the community organizations that they're working with. So there will be requirements as it relates to the actual application, which would make their proposal, you know, more or less competitive, right? That demonstrate that they have buy-in and support throughout the community in order to explore these community policing initiatives. So as it relates to the sheriff's department and where they contract in communities, right, that would have to be a decision made by the sheriff's department and that individual community if that was something that they were interested in exploring.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say that this is very exciting to hear. And coming from a community, the community of Southfield that has several very successful community police initiatives, I feel as though listening to the application process, that my community may be more so be in an advisement role or be able to sit on that committee as the advisor. The application is going to take into account efforts already underway from what you said within municipalities. So I know that we'd be a great example of the efforts that we have in Southfield with police cadets and volunteer policing that we have. So thank you.
Thank you.
And there may be things that even in a community that might consider themselves, you know, further down the line in terms of community policing, like another example might be Ferndale, you know, where they're seeking accreditation in this area. There still may be something that they want to expand on, so they could seek a pilot grant to, you know, explore a certain area. So it doesn't necessarily need to be communities who are just at the beginning. It is intended to be communities, like meeting them where they're at and what additionally they might like to do.
Thank you.
Thank
Billy,
you.
can I just use this opportunity to tell you about another exciting thing in this area, but somewhat separately? And I don't know if the undersheriff, if Mike stayed on too. So Undersheriff McCabe, I just want to acknowledge his efforts in this one area, and we hope to be able to unveil what we've been working on now for several months. But it is something that we're very excited about, and I think all of you are aware of how proud we are as a county of our Clemis program. And I personally am proud because that's generally where Mike and I met. We met through the Clemis program because they were a recipient of a federal grant that my former boss helped work on. So that's kind of where Mike and I first met. But we've been working with the Sheriff's Department and with Clemis and with our IT department, and we actually have an outside vendor who's now developing prototypes. But we hope to be able to unveil for the Clemis communities, you know, in the next couple of months, what will be a dashboard that they can utilize to communicate with the public the information, some of the information that is in Clemis, so that in a very transparent way and in an understandable way, they'll be able to share with the public, you know, information about incidents and different things going on in their community. And Undersheriff McCabe has been very helpful in terms of helping us think through what that dashboard would look like. And so the notion is that for a few years at least, we would provide that dashboard for free to communities who are members of Clemis in Oakland County. And then over time, they may have to pay the county for it. But we wanted to kind of encourage people to be transparent about some of this important community policing data. So it's not something that is finished yet. It's a work in progress, but it's something that we hope to be able to unveil in the next couple of months.
I would just add that we're excited about it, and given what's going on in the world today in law enforcement about transparency and everything else, we're more than happy to participate in this, and we've had a great relationship with the county executive's office in developing this, as have the local police chiefs.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
On item number 3, Commissioners Jackson,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Angel,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Loops.
Yes,
Madam Chair, you have 8 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. The motion carries. Our last
Thank you.
item through the regular agenda is from the Community Home Improvement Reorganization of Division of, let's see. Reorganization of Division, looking to reorganize the home improvement group. So I have a motion by Commissioner Howell, support from Commissioner Markham. And Nelson. All right, so is this, Rudy, is this something you're going to talk about?
Yeah, I'll take the lead on this one. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it. I want to thank the committee for giving me a couple minutes just to kind of walk you guys through it if field any questions. So the resolution you have before you really kind of does 4 things. One, it's going to retitle the division from community home improvement to neighborhood and housing development. You've kind of heard us have this, this consistent message around housing since the state of the county last year, as it relates to us kind of being more of a division that's going to focus on the neighborhood and housing development, affordable housing, affordable rentals. So you've kind of heard us talk a little bit about that. So you'll see that that will reflect in the title change. And then two, we're going to delete two positions. So we're going to delete the manager and then also our chief position. And then we'll create three new positions. So we'll recreate the manager position, and that recreating the manager position will have more of a public health kind of slant to it. You know, we want someone that really can understand the social determinants of health and how housing plays into that. That kind of goes again along with us moving our division, our housing division, from economic development to health and human services. We really believe that that's a very strong alignment with health and human services, with our health department, with housing, food and nutrition, which sits at MSU Extension also. So kind of really aligning all those resources to really be able to effectively move the needle on social determinants. I think what you'll also see in the chief position that we eliminated, you'll see as we brought that position back online, you'll see that we're looking for someone who can help us really truly evaluate performance. Someone who has a financial type of background, understands development deals. One of the things that we found in our housing division was that we just didn't really have the expertise to really work effectively with developers on affordable housing projects. So having someone come in with that type of expertise and having that expertise internally, I think will actually mean a lot. And then the other position that we're going to create in that division is an outreach position. So it'll be a liaison, someone who's constantly thinking strategically, how do we position, you know, our resources, our personnel, you know, in the community so that we're able to build those relationships with the nonprofits, with, you know, individuals in the community, cities, local municipalities, kind of really always thinking at the top of mind, how do we move, you know, our agenda and our mission and goals forward. So that's what you'll find. And then the fourth thing you'll see in the resolution is the retitlement of 9 classifications is simply a retitle that takes the community home improvement title off and add to their title neighborhood and housing development. And so you'll see 9 of those positions there. So with that, I can step back and just kind of take any questions that may be, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Hobbs? Commissioner Ginzel?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, just trying to make sure I'm following here. So as far as the retitling and the renaming and all that stuff, I mean, certainly that's the, you know, at the discretion of the department. But it looks like we're going to reduce by 2 FTEs or 2 people, and we're going to increase by 3 people, which in the whereas it says it's about a $90,465. So basically, our costs will go up by going from 2 people to 3 people. But it looks like you're saying that that's going to be kept within the operating budget of the department, or
through the grant.
Okay, so then we're going to be funding. Is this a full-time position?
Yes.
So then what this is saying is we're going to fund a full-time position through a grant.
So this is our community development block grant that we get every single year that funds this department. So we have home dollars, we have block grant dollars, we have emergency solution grants. So as you know, the housing division is literally a grant funded division. It is, you know, I'm, and I could be speaking out of line, but I don't think I am. I don't think that there's a lot of GF, if any GF, that goes to the housing division because all their activities are geared towards HUD-funded activities. And because they're geared towards HUD-funded activities, they're able to use those dollars that we use, those administrative fees that we charge, you know, to other districts, to other counties to administer these grants. We're able to use those administrative fees to cover, you know, all of our employees in that division.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate the explanation. So is it similar to in the past when we've funded roles with grants, we had something called the Gosling Amendment that said if the grant goes away, the position goes away. Are we following suit here with that?
I guess I would kind of come back and ask for a little clarity from your perspective. I mean, do you take that same approach with the entire division?
Well,
Because the entire division is funded by a grant. So would you take? And I'm new to the process. So I don't think we take that approach with the entire division. I don't think we take that approach with any of those positions that are in housing either.
Yeah, I'm just giving you my opinion as one person, right? Which is if you're running a business and you're bringing on costs that are paid for with revenue that is a grant, what happens when that grant goes away and your revenue goes away and you still have the costs? I get that you want to perform the service. I understand that. So I was just asking the question. I'm not trying to be difficult.
No, I understand. I guess the way I want to answer the question is that I think that we have probably followed the same protocols that we have followed in the past as it relates to Carey and Gordon's and other positions that are at housing. I can actually talk to fiscal and get a better response for you and let you know for sure how we handle housing, but I would think that given the nature of the services that we provide through that division, I will probably think that, this is probably one of the areas that the Gosling amendment or, Gosling, what is it called? The Gosling? Is it a rule amendment?
Yes.
Amendment.
That if we're funding operating positions with the grants and the grant goes away, the position goes away.
Yeah, I would double check, but I would be very surprised if the Gosling Amendment applies to housing, given the nature of the services that we provide. But I'll check.
Thank you. Commissioner Jackson?
I just want to add a comment to what Deputy Executive Hobbs lined out as far as just the new direction, becoming more inclusive of economic development, still keeping an eye on social determinants, and as we used to address homelessness and finding shortages in affordable housing throughout the county. I feel as though this new direction will serve our public better, will also serve our public, and then also make better use of the funding that we have. Our housing department was very, I feel, successful in getting us through the last, the Great Recession. But we know that was like, 11 years ago, 11, 12 years ago. And so now we're at a different crossroads. Oakland County is not affordable for a lot of individuals, and people are struggling to try to keep pace with their rents and mortgages and everything else, just to enjoy the quality of life that we have. So the direction that it's going into public health, I think is really key to offering better opportunities for our public in attaining housing. Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Executive Hobbs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Kokendorfer?
Yeah, just quickly. No, I appreciate the proposal. I am still looking at it. We just got this a little while ago. And I understand the increase in the costs. I understand that we're changing titles and positions, but I don't know if I fully understand how, besides the title changes, how the job duties and functions of each position is changing.
Gotcha. Well, if you look at let's start with the manager position. One, the manager of the division is really going to be the person that's going to be spearheading the strategic direction. And because the mission is going to be a little bit different, and because we have moved this into Health and Human Services, and because we want to take more of a health kind of perspective, as we implement a housing strategy, I wanted someone that had a public health type of background. All right. And so, having a public health type of background, lends them to the spectrum of all the different things that lie on the spectrum of social determinants of health. So that's food insecurity, that's housing, that's actually your physical health, your mental health. I mean, all these things kind of come into play when we talk about social determinants. And so I really wanted someone that really understood it from that perspective, not an economic, not necessarily appreciate the economic development piece about it, but having someone at the very top of that division that really kind of understood that was important to the administration. So that's number one. And that's why you saw the change in terms of the requirements and what, the requirements for the position and requiring a public health background. If you look at the second one, which is the chief. So the chief is kind of like the financial, guru of the department. This is a person that I would expect. This is a person that I would expect to be able to interact with developers, be able to speak the language of developers, be able to read a performer, to be able to give us, direction in terms of what's a good deal and what's a bad deal. Currently, right now, we have some consultants that are working with the department to, really kind of develop a process for folks to kind of come into, the division and ask for home funds. So having a process in place where we're asking developers to bring their best proposals to the table to create affordable housing throughout Oakland County. I really need somebody there that can be able to say, these numbers don't make sense, and be able to ask probing questions about performance. We don't have that right now, Commissioner. Those type of things, when they come through here, we literally have to outsource that and have to go out and find somebody to read a performer for us, interpret it, give us the questions to ask, and be on the phone with us and kind of hold our hand through the process. I really think that should be, a function of the number 2 role in the department. And then going to the third position, that third position that we're creating, I mean, housing is a big issue in Oakland County. There are many organizations, there are many groups that are very passionate about the work that's being done in Oakland County around housing. We need someone that can engage those individuals, and to have those conversations. And that's what an outreach liaison would do, is really kind of create those strategic relationships so that we can continue, to move the ball down the field a little bit in terms of affordable housing. And then, on top of that, I think that there's many services that we actually provide through housing. Housing counseling. We have our community home improvement program. I think that we could do a better job of marketing that and really working with communities to really make sure that, that we're meeting people's needs. Currently, right now, if you want or need services, and this is kind of like services throughout Oakland County, if you need services, you got to come to the county to get them. There's not many opportunities where we're being very proactive and placing our services in a community where people need them. And so I kind of see a very different approach as it relates to housing. I hope that kind of answered your questions a little bit, though.
It does. It's helpful. Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions?
Madam Chair, I think I can answer Commissioner Gingel's point if you don't mind if I interrupt here.
Please.
I had a chance to quickly call in scientists from fiscal services, and certainly wouldn't be any detriment to add the Gosling amendment language if the commissioners don't mind. Commissioner Gingel's point is well taken. It's just that the CDBG money is pretty stable, and so I'm not sure this comes up often, but I think it might be just a belt and suspenders approach to add the Gosling Amendment standard language. If the commissioners, the committee are all right with that, if we can just draft that for you if you want to move an amendment.
Can I ask a question real quick? So the feedback that I received around the Gosling was that any funded position that is not a mandated function is subject to Gosling amendment if the grant goes away. I guess I will ask the question to you, Chris. Is housing is our housing division a mandated function of county government?
So, I'm not really going to give you an interpretation on that. It's just, this has been the standard practice of the board as Commissioner Gingell mentioned. It's in our fiscal services policy manual. I think at the time, if a grant were to be eliminated, of course, it would be very, very unlikely we would lose the community development block grant program. But if it were at that point in time, we'd probably be that time we would make a determination whether it's mandated or not. But
Gotcha.
it could go either way here. But I think
I'm comfortable with that. I don't have to go back and forth. I just wanted to ask a question.
Okay.
I don't have any objection to the amendment. Commissioner Gingell?
Yeah, if we're comfortable putting the amendment on here, that's fine. What I was gonna offer was a solution to say, you know, we're just gonna report this to the board. Maybe we can work on it between now and the board. And if we agree that it is consistent with our fiscal policy, which I do believe it is, and that, you know, the deputy county executive is okay with it, we can add it at the board meeting, and I'm sure it will have full support. I think it's a point well taken that the CDGB grant's probably not likely going away. So I get it. And it may be more of a practical matter than anything else. So, I mean, I'm happy to propose it today if everybody's comfortable with it. Or if we want to wait and address it at the board as an amendment, I'm also fine with that. It gives us time to look into it.
Hey, I would prefer if we can pass it along today, and I could work with you, Commissioner Gingell, and you, Madam Chair, and kind of figure out how if we need to do it at the board, and if we can do it, if we need to do it at the board, we will. But I would like to look into it a little bit myself and kind of become familiar with it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think it's a procedural matter, and I think according to our fiscal policy, it's, in my opinion, it's a matter of practice here. And it should be required. But I do understand your point, right? I totally get it. I just think it's a matter of being consistent. That's all.
Thank
so
you.
I'm fine with moving it as is and recognizing that we're likely to have an amendment at the board if everyone else is fine, Madam Chair. There's no sense to prolong or debate it.
I agree with that. We can review it and add the amendment at the board meeting and vote on. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
On item number 4, Commissioners Markham,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Loops.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 8 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Is there any other business come before this board? Seeing none, then this meeting is adjourned at 12:47.
Have a good day, everybody.